What's going on, guys? Joe with OMGRC.com. Welcome, and today going to be talking about buying used RC vehicles. Mostly going to be like on Facebook Marketplace, somewhere local where you can get your hands on it and you can look at everything. First things first, going to be on just electric vehicles. I really don't know much about nitro, so if you guys are into nitro, you guys can leave those comments below. Let people know what to kind of look for, tips, tricks, all that good fun stuff. And also, maybe you found some awesome deals. Maybe you got burned. If you want to share those stories with us, drop those comments below. All right, so let's get started. First, we want to make sure, hey, we're looking for a used RC vehicle. What does it cost brand new? Example, we got right here, we got a low C. It's the LMT, so it's a low C monster truck. This is a son of a digger. This thing sells for 650 bucks brand new. All right, so now we know how much the vehicle cost. We don't want to spend that much. We're looking for a used vehicle to cut down that cost a little bit, because we're going to get a scratch and it's going to get wear and tear anyway. But we want to make sure that, hey, there is no warranty that comes with it once exchanged hands typically. Keep that in mind on that. We're searching, and you can search on eBay. Go under like advanced and click under sold, and you can kind of get an idea how much those vehicles are selling for used. Take it with a grain of salt that, you know, these people have to ship these vehicles to those people and there's tax involved and all. Those prices might be a little bit more, but at least get an idea. So now you're searching on Facebook Marketplace, and when you go to make any kind of transactions, no matter what it is, when you're dealing with a stranger, is that do it in a safe place. Do this during the day. Don't do this at night. Don't do it in just some dark alley. Come on, people. So make sure that you're doing this. There are safe places to make the transactions. So I recommend that you do something like that, or in a public parking lot. And in this case here too, you want to make sure that whatever you're buying, if it is an RTR, that you can at least see that the vehicle runs. How much it is used, you have an idea on that part. Like, all right, I'm going to start looking on Facebook. Oh man, I found this deal. This is a nice vehicle. And you can see reviews on those people on Facebook. All right, this person's got like 5 stars or 4.5, whatever it may be. So you've done your homework on the vehicle. Like, I like it. I've seen videos on it, tutorials. Like, it seems like a pretty good vehicle. And you know what comes with the vehicle. Right? A brushless car. Well, when we go to test this sucker out, let's make sure that it actually has a brushless, and it's the stock one, unless in the description it says that it's been replaced or whatever. Make sure it's been replaced with something equal. Maybe it's better, because it could be less. Just be mindful of that kind of deal. Go ahead and meet with that person, and you're going to run it. All right, so now that we're out and we're looking at the car, like, okay, let's check it out. So can you show me this vehicle runs? Some people will say, yeah, you know, you can run it, or, you know, like in my case, I usually just show the person, like, all right, I'll go run it down a little ways, because you want to make sure the radio actually has some distance on it. Some of these radios, they have issues and they only go a short distance, and then they start to glitch out and they stop. And you're like, what happened? It's not an issue with the vehicle exactly, but it is with the transmission between the two. So, and that would cost you extra money. So the money that you're trying to save, you're like, oh, now I got to buy this because it only goes 30 feet and then it starts to act up. So make sure you're running a little ways back. Okay, it goes forward, it goes reverse, it goes left and right. It's got lights on it, making sure those all work. Whatever is supposed to come with it, make sure that all that stuff works. Then from that point on, all right, cool. Now this guy, he put this nice looking body on, and maybe he likes to paint bodies or whatever it may be, or maybe it's the stock one. Like, oh, the body's really nice. Maybe they replaced it, right? Open it up, look underneath the vehicle. So now, all right, cool, man, I appreciate you showing me that it runs and everything. I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm looking at the electronics, like, yep. And I'm looking at everything else too. I'm looking at tire wear. They might have replaced the tires or whatever it may be. But I'm seeing some stuff that's rusted on it, on this thing. It's got a nice body on it, but you know, I'm seeing like things don't move like they're supposed to. Steering seems a little weird. Like, all right, okay, it's pretty rusted there. At this point in time, you need to make the call and say, you know what? I'm not comfortable with this. I'm gonna either you're comfortable enough to say I'll give you less for it, or you're just gonna be like, I'm just gonna walk away from it, because I noticed there's too much rust on stuff. You've ran it through the water, and you're asking still quite a bit for the vehicle. And I don't know the damage that's been done as far as maybe bearings. And maybe the bearings, you know, they're not real super expensive. Maybe they're like 20 bucks or whatever. But that's time invested that you have to go and do. And, you know, you got to weigh out your time when it comes to that one. So unless you're getting a really good deal, you know, and everything's kind of doesn't hold up to your standard, you know, you're like, you know what? I'm not really willing to do this. So I appreciate it. And you walk away from it. Or you're like, all right, cool. Kind of look at all that. Sometimes, I mean, as far as what I do, when I do clean up my vehicles, so I want to make them look as presentable as possible. And that's a good thing. So you can see its full potential. Some people can't see that. and you're like, oh, thing's so dirty looking. But hey, man, you clean it up and it looks, you can shine a turd as far as that. You can make it look a lot better. So just because of that, it's kind of like houses and cars and whatever else. Hey, there's beauty sometimes underneath all of that. You just got to put a little bit of elbow grease into it, make it look good. But again, it's that initial cost. If it's too much time to clean all that up. Aware of that. So now that you've found it, you're like, you know what? Cool, I got a good deal. Thing looks like it's in really great shape, and no issues. Seemed like everything was good. Seemed like a good person. The electronics are all good. But if the electronics weren't, you're like, hey, it came with a brushless system, and I see a brush system in there. Like, I'm seeing 2 wires going to a motor instead of 3 wires. The brushless system always has at least 3 wires. So coming out of the motor. If it's 2 wires, it's not a brushed motor. So you're like, this thing's supposed to have a brushless system in it, and you got me a brushed system in there. So now I know why the car wasn't going as fast. So again, do your homework, people. Make sure that the electronics that are supposed to come in there are in there, and what model you're buying. So maybe you didn't read the description right, and you're like, oh man, it's supposed to be this, and it wasn't. And you're just like, oh man, but you're asking too much. So just be aware of that kind of stuff. Hopefully the information I gave you helps you some when it comes to making that decision. And then you just need to do your maintenance. In this case here, checking the oil as far as in the shock oil, your differentials, tear this thing apart. Manuals online you can download to show you how to break everything down and start to put things back together, put those greases and those oils back into the vehicle, especially if they've been ran for a while, to do a once over on the vehicle. I just want to give you a little story real quick on everything. Hopefully that information is helpful for you guys. So leave it. All right, so in this case here, it was a friend of mine I bought this from, and it really wasn't at the time. It was just hanging out. I just want to run something different. He's like, I got some monster trucks. I was like, all right, cool. So I went over to his house. I ran his monster truck for maybe like 5 minutes. It was late at night. It was dark. Couldn't really see a lot. I don't like really driving other people's RC vehicles. Drove it a little bit. It's like, all right, it runs pretty good. It's got a little bit of an issue when it starts up. He's like, yeah, I got a different replacement motor for it because of that issue. At the end of the night, I was like, all right, man, I'll see you later. He's like, hey, by the way, selling that one vehicle that you just drove, I'm going to be selling that one along with some other vehicles. And I was like, oh, okay. It was like the next day, I think it was. And I was like, hey, by the way, I know you mentioned about your LMT, your low-C monster truck, if you're selling it. No, just at your own, at your leisure, let me know how much you want for it. He's like, all right, I'll sell it for this much. And I was like, wow, that's pretty good. Because I'll give you the body, I'll give you the replacement motor that needs to go in it. I just haven't stuck it in there, didn't have time. And then I didn't know about the servo. I think the servo was something that just like at the last minute was like, here you go, there's a servo that I got for it as well. Yeah. He's like, I just got to talk it over with my son first before we finalized the deal. The next day or something like that. It went ahead and he texted me back and was, my son, he's not really into it anymore. I still got my monster truck, so I'm cool with selling this one. It's just sitting on the shelf and doing nothing. That was like later at night, and so I was like, hey, can I come pick it up in the morning? He's like, yeah, sure. When I went over to his house, he's like, I'm sorry, dude. I normally would clean all this stuff up, when I go to sell it, but we were up late last night, and I was just kind of cleaning it, hosing off a little bit. I said, dude, don't worry about it because I'm going to clean it up anyway. I need to go over this whole vehicle, and no offense to you or nothing like that, but I just want to make sure everything's where it needs to be, and I need to address the issue with the motor. He's like, yeah, man, the shocks are definitely a little low. They're a little bit too spongy. At this point, once I brought it home here, it was under warranty at the time that, that they were able to send him a motor, but it didn't really need a motor. And I'm going to tell you why. What I went ahead and did was first open it up, and there's just a little cover. I'm not going to get into like all the detail of it, but there's just a motor cover that's right here. Just take one screw out, pops off that little plastic cap, and then from there, you can get to the motor. There's just 2 screws. Undo the 2 screws, the motor pops out. So at that point in time, I got the motor out. And the reason why I'm doing that, why would I do that, is because I want to see the vehicle, how does it roll without a motor on it? Because the motor is going to give it resistance, and I'm not going to really get a good feel for the vehicle. Once I've done that, I was like, man, this thing, it's smooth, and then it binds, and then it's smooth, and then it binds. And I was like, I've had that issue before. Took apart the front differential, or the axle. Be prepared to take a little bit of time as far as taking that out. It's well constructed, but man, there's a lot of screws to it. Took apart the differential, and I was like, I see these little shims. So those 2 are kind of binding up. That's going to cause issues with the motor, heating it up a lot more. It's just overdriving the motor. which is going to heat it up. It's going to pull more amps from the electronic speed control, which is going to draw more power from my battery, which is going to give me shorter runtime. You know, see how this stuff kind of adds up? So you think something small, then it kind of stacks up on that. Took these shims out, I took them all out. Super smooth now, re-greased some stuff, and I will say give credit where credit's due with Losi, that even their center differential, really nice on the grease that they stick in there, packed full. I was like, man, really impressed with that one. And the build quality, it seems to be really nice. It is not the most user-friendly, but it is built really, it seems to be built really well. I was like, that one's smooth now, and I went to the back one. I'm like, I feel like a little bit of, like it's smooth and it kind of has a little bit of the issue. And I'd really like to know what causes that. I don't know if it's greases, contact with the plastics, if it's heat, what is it, why things go out of tolerance like that. It makes everything start to grind. I've had it with other vehicles, and like I said, I did videos on it. But anyway, I fixed that issue. Now everything's nice and smooth. I can spin it all. It's really smooth. Put the motor back in there, get a little bit of throttle. I'm like, yeah, that thing's, now we don't have any issues. So now what do we get here? You got new servo, brand new motor. It is open, but it's still, in the box as far as that one goes. So it's $60. I'm just gonna hold on to it. And I got a body. The body's like a little over $100. It's like $60 and like 30 something dollars. So pretty good money, and then the cost I paid for the vehicle. But overall, man, no fault of my friends. He just don't have time for that kind of stuff. He's got other stuff going on. He didn't really troubleshoot it a lot anyway. He's just like, all right, put it on the shelf. This is what the issue was. All right, cool. They know better than I do or whatever. No one's perfect, and they send them out a motor. So that's that. But yeah, do your homework, do some investigation. Once you get the vehicle, if there is some problems, find out if that is the real issue, and make sure everything's working like it's supposed to. Everything's nice and fluid. So hopefully you guys found this video helpful for you, and leave those comments below. Let me know what you thought, your issues, or things that you scored deals on or whatever. But until next time, appreciate you guys watching. As always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Check us out at OMGRC.com. And we do sell used RC vehicles sometimes, so there's a little tab for that one. Most of the time, we're selling brand new stuff, so definitely give us a look. Check us out. Sign up for a newsletter. You guys take care again. Thank you for watching. Peace.